Hi guys, this week on the Unlimited Expedition, we take on the Savannah Way. Check it out.
Hey guys, we just left Normanton. We're headed west along the Savannah Way, which basically follows the curve of the Gulf of Carpentaria on the north coast of Australia. Hopefully we'll be in Bullaloula in about a week and a half, which is central northern territory. A lot of good things to see along this road, so we're going to make a few stops and it should be a really interesting trip.
Hey guys, we're just taking a little bit of a detour off the Savannah Way to the Burke and Wills Camp 119. For those who don't know, the Burke and Wills expedition is a bit of an Australian classic. Back in the 1860s, much of Australia's interior was still unexplored, and Royal Society in Melbourne decided to commission an expedition from Melbourne to the Gulf of Carpentaria, which is about 50 kilometres that way. For some reason they picked this guy Burke to lead the expedition. He'd never had any experience leading any sort of expedition in the past, so they picked him. And it was an absolute disaster from the outset. They broke down 3 times before they'd even left Melbourne. Anyway, the result was that they did reach effectively the Gulf of Carpentaria. Well, they got about 25 kilometres from the Gulf itself, and they turned around and came back. This was their most northerly camp. Shame they didn't get that last 25 kilometres in, really.
But they were successful in the mission that they'd been charged with. They'd reached previously explored territory. To support the expedition, Burke had constructed a depot at Coopers Creek in Central Australia. He then continued north with himself and 3 other men, Wills, King and Gray. Burke's intention was to reach the Gulf of Carpentaria and return to the Coopers Creek depot within 3 months. The return journey was punishing, and with only 3 months' supplies, Burke was forced to put the men on half rations and then quarter rations. Only a few days out from reaching the Coopers Creek depot, Gray succumbed to exhaustion. The men paused for 24 hours to bury Charlie Gray and pay their respects. On finally arriving at the Coopers Creek, they found it deserted. The only signs of life were a smouldering fire and fresh camel droppings. Writing on a blazed tree nearby indicated that they had missed the support party by only hours. After their 5-month exhausting journey, the men did not have the energy to pursue. William Wills and Robert O'Hara Burke perished there on the Coopers Creek within weeks. John King integrated into an Aboriginal tribe whom he lived with for several months before he was finally rescued.
It's funny that the expedition was such a disaster, yet it's so well celebrated in Australia, and I think one of the reasons is that the 5 or 6 search parties that were dispatched from various states actually did do a lot towards discovering the country in the middle of Australia. Interesting story. So here we are at the Leichhardt River and Leichhardt Falls, just there in the background. Not much water coming down, I'm afraid. I was just driving by and I came across these old cars. They look like old Holdens. Absolutely full of kangaroos. There must have been 10 kangaroos just in that one alone. They all hopped out when I came. Mataranka Thermal Springs. It's 42 degrees today and that stuff is scaldingly hot, so I nearly burnt my foot just walking up here.
Well guys, that's Mula in the distance there, otherwise known as Warren Hill National Park.
Well guys, today we're doing a little bit of a bushwalk, or probably 2 or 3 bushwalks around the Lawn Hill National Park area. As you can see, it's just stunning really. It's the middle of the dry season, so it's probably as dry as it gets, but just fantastic.
The Lawn Hill Gorge has great significance to the indigenous people of this area, the Wanyee people, who have lived in this area for over 17,000 years. Many of the gorge's walls are covered in unique circular stone carvings. There is also much rock art paintings to be found in amongst the caves. Outside the caves you will find huge midden heaps, evidence of a once thriving community.
So apparently this section of the river is home to quite a few freshwater crocodiles, or better known up here as freshies, as opposed to salties, their bigger cousins that eat people. Freshwater crocodiles are relatively harmless to people. So let's see if we can go and see some. Well, that was a decent sort of trek coming up here, but I'll tell you what, it was worth it.
Well guys, it's bloody hot out here, I'll give you the tip. It's just track 42 and it's about 11:30 in the morning. It was a really nice morning's walk along the gorge there. Now we're headed down to the fossil area of the Lawn Hill National Park. Apparently there's heaps of dinosaur fossils and stuff to see, so that should be interesting.
site's set up with a walking track right around. It's a big loop. Along the loop you have quite a few of these signed areas that point out very clear fossilizations in some of the rocks. What's interesting though is that you don't have to just look at these signed areas. You can take any random rock, study it, and you will see some sort of fossil in it. They're just everywhere. Take this random rock for example. You can just see that there's fossilized bones all through here. Down here, you know, every rock has got something fossilized in it.
Whew, guys, happy to be back in the car. It's not even 1 PM now and it's just clicked over 44 degrees Celsius, so it's still going up unfortunately. Basically it cuts through grazing land and there's quite a few gates that we've got to open and pass through. On the left hand side we've got the Lawn Hill Range there, it's just fantastic all the way up. The road's quite good going, there's some patches of bull dust here and there and one or two shallow river crossings, but nothing too adventurous. But yeah, nice drive all the same. Driving remote areas like this, I always like to keep the radio on scan just in case somebody's out there and got a bit of trouble, and it's one of those things that I hope people will do for me. It's interesting that we pick up a lot of the radio activity with the cattle stations, so helicopter to ground communication, that sort of stuff, so it keeps the trip a little bit interesting too.
Hey guys, it's about 5 in the afternoon. We're just driving past and we saw this beautiful rock formation in the background here. Decided we're going to camp here for the night. It's about 50 metres off the main road, but I had to bulldoze through some of these little saplings just to get in here. But beautiful spot. We're going to do a little bit of exploring before we settle down for some dinner. Well guys, today we're headed to the Northern Territory.
But first we're going to stop by the Hell's Gate Roadhouse. It's one of those famous Australian roadhouses with a lot of character to offer. There we're going to fuel up and get some water before we cross into the Northern Territory. And I believe we're in for another really hot one today. Well, I think every day at this time of year is a hot one up here. So it's 38 degrees now and it's not even 9 AM.
Well, here we are guys, we've made it to the state border with the Northern Territory. We're a bit teary-eyed to leave Queensland. We've had such a fantastic time there. It's been absolutely brilliant. Thanks to everybody in Queensland, it's just been amazing. We're looking forward to a really great time now in the Northern Territory. It's also a little bit special in the fact that Sophie and me have never been to the Northern Territory. So we're really excited to find out what it's got to offer. Well, we found a really nice spot here, but check this out. We've got our own little personal fishing platform there. And that river, eh? How croc infested is that? And where there's crocs, there's barramundi. Not a bad place to watch the sunset either. Well, there's not much happening today. Just relaxing. Drinking my very expensive light beer, which is all you can get up here because of the alcohol control. Doing a little bit of barra fishing and a bit of crocodile / shark watching. Seen a couple of sharks. Haven't seen any crocodiles. And no, I haven't caught any barramundi yet. This evening I think's the time. Well guys, beautiful little spot for a few days. Batten Point it's called. Batten Point, Northern Territory. Anyway, we're pretty keen to get up to Lemons National Park and Kakadu really before the wet season hits, and we've got about a month, I know, but if it hits a bit early then we'll be in strife. So we're going to rush a little bit for the next few days just to get through. Guys, at the southern lost city. Spectacular, isn't it? I was going to do that thing that Crocodile Dundee does with the fingers, but got away on me. Good morning guys, we're back on the road this morning. It's about 8:20. Still in Lemons National Park on the golf track. Probably got about 200 k's of this rough old track before we get to Roper Bar. Up there I hear they got some fantastic barramundi fishing. It seems that today the corrugations, which were very bad yesterday, have given way to just huge patches of bull dust. I mean, it's hard to get up to speed of all at about 50 or 60 kilometres an hour. You hit one of these patches and it really throws you off course. Quite dangerous. Happening there in Roper Bar.
might have all closed up for the season or something. Anyway, we're back on the golf track. We're just going to keep going. I think I've spoken a bit too soon about those corrugations. This last 50 kilometres have been absolutely shocking. Rattling every nut and bolt in the vehicle loose.
We just made a bit of a detour of about 9 kilometres to the Elsey Cemetery.
The Elsey Cemetery has great historical significance. The cemetery belonged to the Elsey homestead, the setting for Anina's Gunn's 1908 book, We of the Never Never. Many of the book's characters are buried here in this cemetery.